Hey guys, welcome back to 80 Days. So we find ourselves in the city of Ismir, and it is 11:30ish PM on day 11. So let's find a hotel for the night. The port of Smyrna, or Ismir as the locals called it, was the gateway to Ottoman trade with Europe. The British and French had their own consulates and private keys, but there were also Dutch and Venetian flags amongst the fleets of trade ships and dirigibles. Dirigible is like an airship, like a zeppelin, I think. Let's see. I roamed the dock, inquiring into onward passage from the fishermen and merchants, but with little success, until I began to tell a desperate story of how my master and I were on the run from my master's murderous wife, who, having married a gentleman for his money, now wished to have the free spending of it that comes from a cleanly executed murder. They fell for it, hook, line and sinker, and I am quite sure one gestured towards his trawler. "I'll take you," he grumbled. "I sail to Antalya tomorrow." I told him we would return first thing and took my leave as the moon rose. A sailor played a tune on a lyre while his compatriots sang along. It was a beautiful night in Ismir. Okay, we can get on to Antalya. That's fantastic. That's exactly where we want to be. Right, so what we're going to do is... Why can't I go to the market? There's something I wanted to sell here. Maybe it's not open yet? There we go. Okay, so we can sell this. No, that's in Antalya. Maybe there wasn't anything in Ismir. No, okay. So what we've got: machete, water bladder, safety harness, tackle must. They're trying to sell me a lot of stuff for desert and jungle travel. We have some space, so let's buy the desert stuff. Okay, that'll do. "If you think I'm wearing that cloth head thing, you are most mistaken." Okay. Right, we're on day 12, so let's move straight on to Antalya. The fishing trawler departs for Antalya tomorrow at 8 AM. Okay, well in that case let's explore a bit more of Ismir. Okay, we've got a route to Istanbul. I took a brief turn about the docks once more in the late afternoon and came across a few grizzled souls playing dominoes. I watched them play but could make nothing of it. There appeared to be strategies and counterplays, but it seemed as random as a game of Find the Lady. A despicable pastime. Got a bit more suave. Lovely. Alright. Let's quickly bed down for the night. We took a room and settled in. And I spent a while talking to the hotelier to learn what I could, learning that you could obtain good false teeth in Odessa, extremely valuable in Omsk. Useful information, no doubt. Indeed it is. Antalya. Let's go by fishing trawler. Baking sunshine, sweltering heat and mild seas. This promises to be a wearisome option, but the partial desert outfit should make my master more comfortable. Go! Here we are. Departing Ismir by fishing trawler. We boarded a small boat that smelled of various kinds of fish, and which put out from the port at first light. How's Fog doing? Oh no, it's Captain Dukov. Enjoying your voyage? Let's ask about Antalya. I need to know about Antalya. Antalya is one of the most beautiful places on Earth. Lovely. Okay, let's go to... Okay, we can ask him about Beirut and Alexandria, or about the route from Antalya to Baghdad or Antalya to Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, formerly Persia. Change the subject to Cairo. I feel like we're going to go from Alexandria to Cairo, so let's ask about those places. It says in my timetable one can travel from Antalya to Alexandria. On the subject of boats, I've heard you can get to Beijing from Vladivostok aboard the Shaking. But the fare is very high. That's useful to know. If we save up some money, we can do that. That will be a quick route to take. Okay. Cairo. Is it possible to go from Alexandria to Cairo? I believe so. One can travel by private car from Alexandria to Cairo, but the journey is a tiring one. Cairo to Suez. Okay, we can get cars across Egypt then, like so. And we can go from Vladivostok to Beijing. Interesting. But that's westerly, isn't it? I could have been a fisherman. The slow glint of the waves that could lull one to sleep if the fish themselves weren't so damn slippery. Free-flowing beer that greases the line. The splosh as the fish are tossed back alive, on hearing which, the fishermen with whom we were sailing were most furious with me. I ducked hastily below deck, their curses ringing in my ears. My master looked up from his book and merely averted his nostrils, declaring, "Passepartout, you smell of fish." Perhaps I am too soft to be any kind of hunter. Damn it. Really need to improve relations with Fogg. I'll try and groom him or something. Greetings, Monsieur Humphrey. I'm sorry, have you seen my wife? Who's this? Nah. Don't really want to talk to him that much anyway. We rounded the coast of Turkey, clinging to the shore. We saw several other boats plying the waters, some fishing vessels, some ferries. I asked one of the fishermen about them, and he shrugged a grizzled shrug. Busy little place this, water's the quickest way to anywhere. Except the airships, another put in, but they're all private from Antalya. You can't get aboard unless you know the right people. A few hours later we were on dry land once more. A bath, Monsieur Fogg murmured. I must have a bath. Okay. Carnival mask could earn as well. Let's sell it then. Lovely. Whoa, we've got nearly 7 grand. Indian train timetable. Having that. That's valuable in Alexandria, so I feel like it's worth taking an extra suitcase for it. Eastern spices, again, valuable in Alexandria. Okay. Good stuff. We can get to Karachi that way from Qatar. Bombay, Bangalore to Madras. This is probably where and we can go from Allahabad to Calcutta. Chittagong. Okay, this is oh yeah, that's because we got the Indian train timetable. I'm going to be trying to get across India by train unless we can get there by air. Anyway, where can we go from here? We can go to Beirut by ship and then on to Alexandria. Let's see if we can explore Antalya and find... Oh, hang on. We can get there right now. No, the Nefertiti. Queen Nefertiti. Departs tomorrow, so let's explore Antalya if we can. Spend the night. I spent my afternoon rambling around Kelishi, the historical centre of Antalya, which was where I happened upon a group of Turkish dockhands unloading crates of Venetian goods into a warehouse flying the French flag. They had a passable grasp of French, no doubt a prerequisite of working for their French employer, one Monsieur Fontaine. Though we've never met him, one of them added bitterly. Is he a good employer? I asked politely, simply to make small talk. Alas, my innocent inquiry was not taken as such. Why do you ask? A dockhand fired back, crossing his arms. Perhaps you are Monsieur Fontaine. You found me out! I gave a booming laugh, the sort the Monsieur Fontaine of my imaginings would boom. Such an empathetic fellow he was, prone to making friends and acts of random generosity. Alas, my invented backstory saw me doling out banknotes to these dockhands quite haphazardly. Oops. Thus I was ensconced in my role. I spent a cheerful if deceptive afternoon getting to know my employees and inspecting the merchandise. They cracked open a crate to reveal a treasure trove of Venetian glass, glittering blue-green in the Anatolian sun. I pocketed a particularly fine piece before they bid me a respectful farewell. Your funds have gone down, and relationships with Fogg have gone up. Okay. Riyadh is where we can sell that glass. Let's explore. I spent a few hours in exploration learning ways in which we might travel onwards. Okay. Right, looks like we're going to have to do this tomorrow. Damn. Wasting time here, man, wasting time. What's in the bank? We must visit the bank, Monsieur Fogg declared. You have additional funds? I am a gentleman. They would extend me credit if required, he replied. But do you suppose I put my entire fortune into a carpet bag under your supervision? Of course, I regarded the bank as we entered. It was a small affair but efficiently looked after, and we were quickly seen to. You wish to withdraw funds, we were told. I warn you, it may take some time. £700 tomorrow. The manager nodded. I will have to communicate with London first, of course, she apologised. I should have a reply tomorrow. It seems, Monsieur Fogg remarked as we left, we have some time to dispose of. Return to the bank tomorrow to collect your funds. Okay. Pass the night, grip the money and move on. With the last light of evening, I starched the collars of our shirts to ensure everything was shipshape for our inevitable departure. Okay. If we can quickly visit the bank as soon as it opens. I'm hoping we can do that without wasting another day before moving on to Beirut. Otherwise, we're spending far too long here. Come on. Alright, well... what time does it depart? 2 days? Oh no! Damn it, this is bad. Wait, what? There are airships... oh yeah, but you have to know the right people. Okay, well in that case... we may be able to learn something if we have to stick around here for another couple of days. We might be able to learn some information about possibly getting an airship. I don't know. Well, we'll have to just spend the night, won't we? As night fell, I went out to explore a little but found nothing of particular interest. Okay, good. Departs tomorrow and arrives the same day, that's good. I'd like to abandon the whole bank funds idea. We've got quite a lot of money. Before going to bed, I spent a few hours walking around, enjoying the sights and smells of this curious part of the world. Wait, what did he say about the funds? It doesn't matter, we have to go. We've got to move. We're on a race. Embark. Merchant trader Nefertiti to Beirut. Hire some luggage space. Okay. And go. What's happening here? The Nefertiti was a tall-masted Egyptian clipper that sailed around the coastline from Antalya all the way to Alexandria. I asked the skipper if he had considered longer voyages via the Suez Canal, but he only laughed. The fees, young man, are quite extortionate. How extortionate? He gave me a pointed look. You will not buy me or my boat, he replied, if that is your intention. My liberty is worth more coin than you have. I nodded and we did not pursue the conversation further. So we could move on to Alexandria and skip Beirut if we wanted to. We're nearly a quarter of the way through our journey and we're still... I mean, look, we've only come this far, so we've really got to make up some time here. The evening drew on and the crew served gin slings with great cheer. The captain nodding to me as the liquor was poured. "Enjoy," he called, "for as long as you are with us." I saluted him with my glass and savoured the cool drink as the sun went down in fire and smoke across the sea. Okay, we can sell the stuff we have here. The eastern spices. We need to go to Alexandria for the leather braces, but that's cool. Of interest to feminine and posh types. Nice. Yeah, let's buy them. Hooded cloak. We can complete that set with that cloak. Let's do that. Okay. Let's plan. What can we do? Okay, it's 2 days to Alexandria. Negotiate. £660 to get there tomorrow. Or to depart tomorrow. Let's do that because we have the money. Okay. Tomorrow at 7. Not going to hang around in Beirut. We're going to spend the night and we're going to go straight on to Alexandria. We found no true hotel, only a boarding house of rooms around a central courtyard in which a fountain danced and various people sat and talked in hushed tones. As I looked about, I found something suspect in every pair of eyes I met. So, naturally I was curious. I introduced myself to a likely-looking pair. They had just arrived from Baghdad and were full of the glories of that city. "Tell me more," I demanded, and so the woman, one Madame Ismir, enthused about the generous hospitality and warm welcome expected from all Baghdadis. "I shall look forward to it," I declared cheerfully. Madame Ismir and her male companion took their leave from the fountain side, insisting on recommending a spot in town where we might find a driver to Baghdad before going. I was left sitting beside fountain, listening to the whispering water until I retired. So we can get a car to Baghdad. But we're not doing that, we're going to Alexandria. Okay. Let's go. We're back on the Nefertiti again. Maybe we can talk back with that captain again. We sailed once more aboard the Nefertiti at first light back out into the glittering waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Going down across the eastern Mediterranean to Alexandria. Covering ground quite quickly here, which is good. I went above and was surprised by the atmosphere on deck. The sailors were stretched out on the deck enjoying a moment of calm. An hour or so later they were swarming the rigging and the masts and bringing us slowly into the bustling port of Alexandria. Leather braces could be sold handsomely here, yes indeed. Oh, we've got some good stuff here. That's valuable in Bombay. Worth a lot in Dubai. A tot of rum. We're getting a lot of boats, so that could be useful. Guide to African airships. Nice. We'll sell that. Buy that. Buy the rum. That's cheap. We may as well. Okay. New route from Khartoum to... Ooh, okay. all the way across Africa. Bloemfontein. Right, very interesting indeed. Let's explore Alexandria. I remember the speculation in the Parisian papers when the site of the ancient library of Alexandria was purchased by an anonymous bidder a few years ago. Everyone had been surprised when the purchaser was revealed and the great copper lily sigil was unveiled on its rebuilt walls. The Artificers Guild. I went inside. The long halls were cooled by some hidden, gently humming mechanism. The students moved about with calm fastidiousness, and, naturellement, everything was in superb working order. Corridors were lit with electricity and doors slid open as they were approached. As I wandered the campus, I passed a room from which an unearthly green light flickered. I peered through the keyhole and observed a strange sight. A young woman laboured over a projector of some kind, which threw light out onto the wall via a tiny aperture. But from where I peered I could not see what was projected. I entered, the better to see. The image projected was of a row of scrolls on shelves, nothing more. The woman looked up and pushed a pair of spectacles onto her head. "Who are you?" she demanded. "What gives you the right to barge in like this?" I introduced myself, Passepartout, the most dashing valet in all of Europe. She looked distinctly unimpressed. "Well, Passepartout, barging into experiments is not good for your health, or for the nerves of the people you meet." "But pray, what are you doing?" I asked, hoping to make some peace between us. "It is none of your concern," she replied, but a note of pride warmed her voice as she spoke. "But I have been looking into the properties of light passed through a quartz film, and the effect is most extraordinary." She indicated the image of shelving projected on the far wall. It did look astonishingly tangible, and I remarked as much. "It is not a projection," she insisted. "You understand the principle of reflection, do you not? That all objects reflect all light. Some light is absorbed, but never all, otherwise the world would turn invisible." I rather took to admiring the turn of her nose as she spoke. It bobbed most charmingly. I waved at her to continue her explanation. Her manner became animated. "Why, then everywhere contains not just new light, but old light as well, bouncing around, trapped like flies in a jar. One only has to filter it through something, say, filmy quartz." She tapped one side of her projector even. "Amplify what remains and you are left with this." She pointed at the far wall. I looked more closely at the thick wooden shelves and the rows of scrolls in the image on the wall. That projection is an image from this room from almost 2,000 years ago. That is one shelf of the great library of Alexandria. Passepartout, if you go close, you can even read some of the text. I moved forward to check when something remarkable happened. A man in a robe walked in front of the row of shelves, took one down, and began to read. The woman gasped and I staggered back against the wall. The man in the film did not notice us, of course, but selected a papyrus scroll, unrolled it, and left the frame of the image. I took a moment to recover. The woman stared at me, clearly doing the same. "My friend, we have just witnessed something incredible. A camera into the past." She nodded. "Well put." She sat down suddenly. "I'm overwhelmed. The mode of scientific thought, it seems, can produce results beyond the comprehension of the thinkers themselves." I left the woman and her ghostly reading companion and returned to my flesh and bone Monsieur Fogg. But I could not shake a chill. In the future, would people be able to see me walking these streets, boarding trains and boats with suitcases? Would our escapades become flashing images, so detailed and yet so untouchable? And if progress could create such a thing, what next? I fancied I felt the fingers of future artificers guiding my very steps as I walked. Nice little fourth wall break there. Obviously indicating the fact that I am guiding his steps in the future. Like it. Anyway, From here we can go to Cairo by car or Suez. Yeah. Okay. Departs in 2 days or departs tomorrow. Okay, we'll move on to Cairo then. Passing the night in Alexandria. We've made ourselves comfortable for the night. I buffed and shone my master's pocket watch. Okay. Cairo by car. Oh, there isn't space for all this stuff. Damn it, we have to go this way. No, let's stay another day here. Yeah. Okay. With what remained of the day, I went out to explore a little and entered into discussion with a charming Turkish woman who was searching for a dog, which I located near a dog kennel. As the woman thanked me, and as we talked, I remarked that there is neither bank nor market in Luxor. I thanked her and she shrugged and went about her day. Oh, nice. Okay, can we get to Suez? Yes, we can. Passenger ferry to Suez. Yep, cool. Fog's health is at 100 if you look at the bottom right of the screen. We took a small boat from Alexandria to the top of the Suez Canal, which had only been recently opened. We passed other ships very closely. The captain, a curly-haired, genial Egyptian, noticed my unease and grinned. "Do not worry, my friend. I have not sunk a boat in, at least a year." "A year?" I all but screeched. "You have not?" I noticed his peals of laughter through my haze of terror. "It is not kind to mock me." "Well," he responded equably, "you paid for passage, not for kindness." "Kindness is always a gift," I informed him, trying to infuse my tone with genteel disdain. "Sadly, not all men are so gifted." He barked a laugh. "Don't worry, my friend, we're nearly at Suez." Actually, no, we're not. We're quite a way away. Never mind. I've got so much ground to cover. We really need to get across India and Africa as quickly as we can. I'm interested to see how far we can get in this journey though, because I'm learning a lot for the next one. Our captain was, for all his frivolousness, a deft navigator, and we sailed into the canal at exactly the expected hour. Monsieur Fogg was, in his own rather cool way, in raptures at our timely arrival. Good stuff. Suez. You can sell the medallion. Lovely. Yeah. Ching. Okay. Some stuff here. Caribbean timetable. That could be useful further on from here because I guess we're going to have to go across the Americas at some point. We can sell Europe timetable, I guess, now that we're sort of out of Europe. I hope we don't lose routes doing that, but never mind. Okay. We may be going to Agra or Bangalore. Sell that as well, buy that. Yeah, okay, cool. So we've got our first routes in the Americas. Havana, Port Royal and Jamaica, Nassau, Port-au-Prince, Caracas. So we've got a lot of the Caribbean Sea covered there, which is good. Okay, where can we go and when? Okay, next is Jeddah, Aden, or Bombay. We can get to Bombay in 14 days. I'm going to take a risk and just do that, because that covers a lot. Departs in 2 days. The P&O line of Mongolia. Okay, let's do that. Let's spend 2 days in Suez, and we'll get straight to Bombay. Cool. The uniformed lamplighters lit the gas lamps as the sun set over Suez, bathing the wide avenues of the city in a smoky yellow glow. I wondered about this city, whether Suez's newfound fortune and wealth would prove enduring, and what would grow in place of the stylish hotels and manicured gardens if it did not. Okay, explore. We can spend the day exploring. I took a cup of tea in an extravagant little tea shop in Suez. It was packed to the brim with rich traders and adventurers, drawn to the small port by the recent opening of the Suez Canal. I was attempting to eavesdrop on an argument between a lady wearing a jewel-bordered hijab and an extravagantly moustached Egyptian man, when a dark-skinned personage in an impeccably tailored but oil-stained jacket entered. I caught the well-dressed man's eye, and he came over to my table and greeted me in softly accented French. "Olivier Lapointe, dirigible pilot at your service." Ooh, dirigible. "Dirigibles," I exclaimed with some pleasure. "A most adventurous profession." "As you say, monsieur," he agreed happily. "My ship, the Gamila, departs soon on her maiden voyage." "Where is she headed?" I asked curiously. Monsieur Lapointe sipped his tea. "Not far. Our destination is the provincial capital of Khartoum in Sudan." He gave me his card and a vivid description of the Gamila. I had no doubt I could spot Monsieur Lapointe's airship at the dock if we should desire to travel next to Khartoum. Okay, so where is Khartoum? Okay, it's there, and from there we can go to Stone Town. Oh, this goes south down through Africa to like Bloemfontein, Bailly. I think, even though it's quite good, we can go to Baghdad as well. Even though it's quite good that we have the airship as an option and that's quite fast, we now have the choice of whether to go to South Africa and then east to, like, you know, Southeast Asia or Australia, depending on where we can get to from there. Alternatively, we can carry on the way we were doing through like Bombay, Bangalore, Madras onto Rangoon. I feel like I'm going to stick with that on this route just because it was my plan to go to India. That's where I'm going. Okay. So we're going to go to Bombay. Okay. When does this thing depart again? Oh, we can get the train to Khartoum. Or... okay, yeah. Let's do one more day in Suez and then we'll go to Bombay by ship. I'm just going to have a look, see... No, we cannot afford even a single day to get more money. Onwards. Okay. Yeah, let's spend one more night in Suez. There we go. As night fell, I went out to explore a little, only to see a nervous Italian madame in a dramatic discussion with a tailor, from which I learned it can sometimes be prudent not to get involved. I departed the scene with a torn shirt. Damn it. Never mind. Okay, on to Bombay. Baking sunshine, high temperatures and mild seas. The gentleman traveller set will serve us well once again. Lovely. Here we go. The dock was crowded with people cheering one and another along. There was much chatter and many embraces, as I suppose long-distance journeys must always attract, and I felt for a moment a deep wish that someone, just once, in one of these cities we passed through, would see us off on the next leg of our journey. Or now perhaps not. I fancied I sensed a pair of eyes fixed on us as we made our way aboard the Mongolia. Perhaps the sight of a true English gentleman is a wonderful rarity in these parts. Who can say? Mysterious. Okay. So we've got a long way ahead of us here. I'm wondering if we can... Yes, we can speed up time. Something's happening. The steamer Mongolia was built of iron of 2,800 tons burden and 500 horsepower. She sailed as grandly as a duchess out of the port of Suez. Magnificent sight, I cried, watching the grand hotels and gaslit gardens of the city recede into the distance. Monsieur Fogg looked upon them dismissively. There will be many more such sights to come, for we have quite a distance yet to travel. My master, I was learning, was as unvarying as the ship's chronometers. I confess I found it comforting to serve such a reliable personage. Certainly he was incurious and perhaps even indifferent, but he was also dauntless. Without doubt, he was an eccentric gentleman upon an even more eccentric quest, but he was my eccentric gentleman, and that was a position I intended to keep, despite the hazards. Okay. Speeding along. Monsieur Fogg spent his days playing playing whist. Oh, whist, I see. The card game whist. Monsieur Fogg spent his days playing whist with Sir Francis, a tall, fair fellow who was an old India hand, as they said in the trade. It seemed Sir Francis was travelling the full distance to Bombay. Good town, he declared. Good artificers, too. On the evening of the second day, we approached the city of Jeddah on the east coast of the Gulf. A curious sight, but of no interest. I went below and left the world to sail on by. I befriended an extravagantly whiskered fellow passenger who introduced himself to me as Monsieur Fix, and evinced a flattering interest in my travels. "You are making a tour of the world in 80 days?" he exclaimed, my eyes wide as saucers. His eyes wide as saucers, even. "It is a wager," I confirmed mournfully. Gentlemen are strange creatures, and given to stranger fancies to fill their time. Monsieur Fix looked suddenly rather shrewd. It must be an expensive business, all this travel. "My master is a gentleman," I said repressively, for I considered it gauche to discuss financial matters. "Yes, of course," my companion agreed laughingly, though his moustache twitched like a pendulum. "All the same, what a singular endeavour." Quite so. Okay, on from Jeddah. Let's just speed up. How do we do it? Okay. Monsieur Fix was a most congenial fellow and possessed of all manner of useful knowledge. I asked him what he knew of Bombay, Mongolia's final destination. "I was stationed in Bangalore during my time in India, not Bombay," he told me, smiling. "I spent much of my time playing cricket. We colonials take the game seriously. Almost as seriously as the natives themselves. That's quite true in real life. India and Bangladesh are hugely enthusiastic about cricket. As am I love cricket. Because I'm an Englishman and we English like cricket." Okay, moving on around the Gulf to Ardennes. Monsieur Fix Monsieur Fix dragged me up on deck, saying only, "You will not want to miss this, my friend." Through the sea mist I saw the immaculate city of Ardennes, nestled in the caldera of a volcano, bounded by sheer black cliffs and crystal blue sea. "My God," I blasphemed, secure in the knowledge that any passing deity would forgive me, given the magnificent sight before my eyes. "Perhaps your master would want to see it also?" Fix asked. "I could send one of the deckhands to fetch him." "I am certain he would," I agreed. "Excellent," Fix replied. "We'll get him out of his cabin for a short while then." I said I would go myself, but Fix shook his head. "No, no, don't trouble yourself." "Well now," remarked my master's voice coolly from behind us. I turned to see he had emerged from below decks of his own accord. "There you are." I made to introduce the two, but neither seemed interested, Monsieur Fix drifting away along the rail, and my master tapping his fingers on the rail with pleasure. The shipping lanes outside Ardennes were busy. We passed close enough to other steamers to make out individual passengers taking a turn above deck. A little boy leaned over a railing and waved at me. So I waved back and grinned. Monsieur Fogg gave me a look as if to chide me for making a spectacle of myself, but I was too taken with the child's expression of artless joy to take my master's disapproval much to heart. I scanned the deck for familiar faces and saw no sign of the loquacious Monsieur Fix or his extravagant moustaches. Perhaps he had disembarked at Ardennes. But I did spy Sir Francis. Well then, my master would continue to be well occupied. Okay. We are moving on from Ardennes on to the next leg, the third leg of our journey to Bombay. Can we speed up time? No, we can't. At breakfast, I saw a young, bronze-skinned lady in a lilac day dress, scribbling in a notebook, her eggs and smoked mackerel untouched upon her plate. Eggs and smoked mackerel sounds like a delicious breakfast to me. I like both of those things quite a bit. I decided to introduce myself with every gentlemanly courtesy, her eyebrows raised in challenge. "I have no interest or talent with polite conversation, if that is your intent." "Certainly you possess ample wit," I remarked, rather stung, "so it is merely politeness which you lack." To my utter astonishment she tilted her head back and laughed throatily. "How unexpected! A man who actually speaks the truth in the presence of a lady." I was saved from having to make an answer by the arrival of the lady's father, Monsieur Williamson. "Eleanor," he said reprovingly, "who is this man?" "My name is Noor," she said firmly. "And this man is a rare creature indeed, a fellow with a brain. Not that you would recognise it, father." With that she swept away, leaving me to explain myself to her beleaguered parent. Interesting. I feel like that exchange didn't necessarily go as well as it could have. It happened upon Demoiselle Williamson. I happened even upon Demoiselle Williamson in the piano room, where she was studiously ignoring the music and merriment in favour of her notebook. "Demoiselle Williamson, we meet again." The lady held up a finger to bid me wait a moment and finished her sentence with a flourish before looking up. "Oh, it is you. What are you exactly?" "An adventurer." "Are you?" she smirked. "And what would you say if I confessed that I too am an adventurer?" "How did you come to be so?" She gave me a wry look and lifted her notebook. "I learned to write stories, Passepartout. You may be trapped here on this hulking steamer, but I am wandering the catacombs of Egypt and unearthing its marvels. May I read your stories?" She gave me a wicked look and a smile. "How do you know you have not read some of my stories already? I have a wide readership under my assumed name." It seemed I had made a friend in the demoiselle. So she's a famous adventure story author. Maybe she's Jules Verne. Monsieur Williamson offered me a pipeful of tobacco in the evening. "I am perplexed by my daughter," he admitted miserably. "What is so perplexing?" I asked gently. "She does not behave in the manner of a lady at all," he groaned. "She told me last night that she has been writing penny dreadfuls for this past year. She is—" His gentlemanly voice dropped with horror, so the last word was a mere croak. "Published." She had as much as told me so yesterday, but I pretended surprise. "You must be very proud." Cheaply printed tales of horror and adventure were a London fashion which had quickly spread. Indeed, the most popular stories were set in Egypt and Africa, and I had little doubt that Demoiselle Williamson had added her own inventions to their number. "What?" Monsieur Williamson glared at me. "It is a scandal. She has broken her engagement because she has an independent means." "Perhaps then she will find her own husband," I suggested. Monsieur Williamson's neck turned an unsavoury shade of purple. "But anyone with a penny may now read her most intimate thoughts, wantonly printed upon the page." "I am sure they are not true thoughts, monsieur." "Who is to know?" he shrugged. "And whatever are her true thoughts? She is as thorough a mystery to me as... His imagination failed, and he spat. "A foreigner!" I sighed and considered my next words. "At least she is healthy and happy." "She is young and foolish," Monsieur Williamson corrected bitterly. He took his leave soon after, and as I retired to bed, I saw him still pacing the deck, eyes downcast. Intriguing. I like her, she sounds cool. An independent woman who writes awesome pulp adventure stories. Sounds like my kind of gal. A slim volume had been slid under my door in the night, bound with a ribbon and a short note. "To a fellow adventurer, here is my latest volume, Nor." I picked up the cheaply bound book, titled Adriana and the Lost Sarcophagus of Thebes, and opened it at the first page. Adriana Harawi was no ordinary lady. Whilst other girls of her age and background took up watercolours and practised their scales upon the piano and dreamed of matrimony, Adriana dreamed of sun-bleached cities and featureless deserts of yellow sand. I settled in to read Miss Williamson's novella until my master woke and required my services. Awesome. Okay, we're speeding across the sea. "Well," demanded Demoiselle Williamson at lunch, "what did you think of my story?" "Adriana is a charming creation." "I only wish my father thought so," she sighed. "He read my volume last night and believes Adriana is merely a cipher for my own passions and being." "He does not understand art, clearly." The demoiselle tossed her head. "Worse, he believes Lord Havering to be Adriana's lover, and now suspects that I am concealing my own paramour from him." She glared into the middle distance. "Lord Havering is the villain. He is Adriana's nemesis. He is utterly misreading the text." Okay, what shall we say? "Such are the dangers of authorship," I grinned. "No doubt many others will misconstrue your words in their turn." "But Havering thwarts Adriana constantly, and he condescends to her at every turn. He even threatens her with a rapier. How can such a relationship be misread?" Demoiselle Williamson dug into her venison savagely, muttering of interfering fathers and irresponsible readers. Wisely I smiled in a most amicable, friendly fashion. There was clearly nothing that could be done for this unfortunate father-daughter pair, and with Bombay so close, Now was not the time to attempt any risky reconcilements. Oh, I should have done the other one. Never mind. Here we go. I am no tourist, Sir Francis declared with cheerful glee towards my master as they dealt another hand. I am taking the train to Calcutta on important business. How long does this train take? I inquired, or was about to, as just then the infernal Monsieur Williamson stormed in, threw a glove at me, and bellowed a challenge. Excuse me, monsieur, I asked in bewilderment. You mean to challenge me? You, said Monsieur Williamson, voice dripping with venom, are Lord Havering, and you have led my daughter astray. I have not led your daughter anywhere. Now, I am not Lord Havering, I insisted, though I perceived, unlike the rest of the recreation room, that Monsieur Williamson was referring to the character in Adriana and the Lost Sarcophagus of Thebes. The man scowled. Besides which, Lord Havering is clearly a villain and not a romantic hero. Aha! He picked up his glove and then tossed it once more. You have read her text, you blackguard, and yet the way we spoke together, you acted quite the charming innocent. He drew his arm back and made a fist, and I realised he was almost certainly about to punch me in the face. I threw my own punch preemptively. I struck him only lightly, but he stumbled and tripped over his own feet in his attempt to avoid my blow. He landed in a heap upon the carpeted floor and looked up at me dazedly. What in the name of Ra and Osiris is going on? Miss Williamson shouted, arriving at that precise unfortunate moment. She seized her father by the armpits and dragged him away, muttering various unladylike curses as blood trickled off his chin, and I called vague apologies. Monsieur Fogg regarded me with remarkable aplomb given the scene which had preceded. You would tell me, would you not, if you had outraged any ladies of late, Passepartout? He remarked. I could only glare dumbly in response. Damn it. I wanted to charm the lady and all that jazz. Never mind, we are at Bombay. I kept to my cabin on the last day of our journey, to avoid any repetition of the previous evening's debacle, but I could not avoid Miss Williamson as we disembarked at Bombay. She clutched her hands to her bosom theatrically as she spotted me. Goodbye, my dear Lord Havering, she called, counterfeiting a sickly love-struck smile. I will never forget you. Nor I you, my Adriana, I called back, with a rakish smile, as her father turned a bright, horrible shade of red beside her. And then we disembarked into the humid, salt and smoke-laced air of Bombay. We had arrived in India. Fantastic. Okay, we can sell the Egyptian scarab here in Bombay. So let's do that now. And it's worth 3,800 quid, which is fantastic. That should bring us back some of the money which we have spent on this enormously long ocean voyage. A map showing transport routes in the southern hemisphere. That's well worth a quid. Tobacco, valuable in Goa, South India, which we're probably not going to. Singapore. Are we going to Singapore? Or Goa? Okay, let's see where we can go here. Oh, we can go to Singapore that way. New Zealand. We can go from New Zealand all the way across the Pacific to Pitcairn Island and on from there to can zoom out far enough to see. Lima in Peru, okay. That may be the way to go. So we need to get to Auckland. And to get there we need to get to Australia. Wait, someone's already got to Brisbane? Oh, mate. Okay, we're not winning this race, that's for sure. Right, well... we can... go to Bangalore or Madras. In that case, we're going to go to Madras, departing... the Madras Mail departs from Madras. The Nemo 7337 is already in Bangalore. Okay, so that's one of our competitors, I guess. So we need to spend the night here and very quickly move on. Monsieur Fogg cared not a straw for the wonders of Bombay, but gave me a few hours' leisure as he settled in to his evening paper. I ended up wheezing and puffing my way up Malabar Hill, the highest point in South Bombay. I paused at the top and looked out at the bay. British airships dominated the skyline, tethered loosely to the gunboats that patrolled the docks. Brightly painted merchant ships darted into the harbour, eager to unload their cargo before the light faded. Catching my breath, I found my steps irresistibly drawn towards the hanging gardens which shielded the Parsee Tower of Silence from the bay. The hanging gardens were magnificent. Little steam-powered curricles and horse-drawn carriages vied for space underneath the shady trees. British officers escorted their stiff-bodiced wives or made eyes at brightly dressed Indian girls, and in the shadow of the gardens I saw the symbol of the copper lily on the door of a converted mansion. I approached and knocked on the door, and was given a cup of tea and a cushioned wicker chair almost as soon as I crossed the threshold of this outpost of the Artificers' Guild. They were a varied group. Most were British or Indian, but I spotted a few Turks and Chinese. More than half were women, and all sat sipping tea together as equals and poring over periodicals. A middle-aged Sikh in bright blue turban and admirably pressed trousers approached me. "What is it you require, traveller?" "I am interested in transportation," I told them. "What inventions have you made?" The artificers bickered amongst each other in at least 6 different languages before Dharampal the Sikh smiled. "We have invented many small things that are useful but not important, like caps that prevent water falling from bottles when tipped suddenly upside down, but in transportation we have done nothing." "There are no rocket ships, no motorised snakes, nothing?" He laughed. "Nothing. Though there is the walking city of Agra, of course, but we did not build that." A walking city sounds incredible. It is. The Guild has outposts in India as much to discover the past of this great country as to invent the future. But there is no way to Agra from here. I protested. The artificers shrugged. "I suppose not. The train to Calcutta goes via Allahabad, further to the south." I thanked the artificers profusely before taking my leave, though alas I was so distracted by my musings that I failed to notice 2 thuggish fellows with ill intent who cornered me in a side street and demanded my shoes. "A man's shoes are his castle," I contended, which had the laudable effect of confusing them for a few moments while I attempted a discreet but ultimately fruitless escape. I returned to my master barefoot and rather shamefaced. "I hope this will not happen again," said my master coldly. That was to be the last word on Bombay, gateway to the jewel in the crown of the British Empire. Except for... "And what, pray, has happened to your shoes?" There we go. Okay, so let's move on to Bombay, unless we can go to Calcutta and then on to like Rangoon, I guess, but no, we're going to Singapore. We need to go to Madras. on the mail train. Okay, we need to sell some... No. Okay, we'll have to open the luggage. We have to ditch some stuff here. That sucks. Okay, sell that. Oh, we can sell that when we get there. Sell that. Sell that. We're not going North India, so we'll sell that. Move some stuff along here. Okay. Sell that. And we need to get rid of one more thing. Let's do the African airships. Okay. Can we get rid of this? How do we do that? Embark. Alright, we're on the mail train to Madras. The Bombay Express was a fine train, rivaling the Orient Express herself for comfort and luxury. Inside each softly lit compartment, Persian rugs and Venetian lamps threw colour over fittings of teak wood and burnished brass. Most acceptable, if only all our journeys were so well appointed. Okay, moving on. I went to explore the observation decks and set with wicker chairs and parasols to better more comfortably observe the countryside flashing past, and yet... I can't read, I'm sorry. And that was where I met Anne-Marie Spencer, a girl of maybe 10 years, sketching the distant hills. I greeted her politely as I took the spot beside her. She smiled, and with deft movements adjusted the position of her wheeled chair to give me more room, dropping one of her pencils as she moved. I returned it with a bow and she giggled. "You must be French," she declared. "You are gallant indeed." I smiled politely and looked aside. "I knew it," she said. "I have a good eye. I see things as they are. That is why I draw." I looked over her pictures to be confronted by their strangeness. I could not recognise anything of the landscape she was so closely watching in the lines and shapes that filled the page. "You have a most unusual smile." Style, I hedged. "Oh, monsieur," she said, "I have a good eye. I can see you are lying." I shrugged and did not attempt to deny it. "Your pictures are terrible, mademoiselle," I told her. "They offend my eye, my sense of proportion and space. They are unspeakable." She nodded. "Most honourable," she replied. I knew it. Just then my attention was distracted as my master beckoned me over to make ready his evening wear. I bid her farewell and she nodded to me. "I will see you again, Monsieur Passepartout," she told me as I left her. I did not stop to wonder that day how it was she knew my name. Intriguing. It's Groom Fog. Okay. The next morning I discovered I had lost my passport. I told Monsieur Fogg immediately, risking his displeasure at the possibility of delay, but he merely shrugged. "Then you must find it again." I decided to enlist the help of Anne-Marie and her excellent eye, so I tracked her down on the observation deck and explained the situation. She looked most concerned. "What might happen to you without documents?" "My master is well respected, so I doubt I will be imprisoned," I replied gallantly. She nodded. "Well then, we shall have to look for it. Look, won't we? I think you should search the crew cabins, which my chair cannot access, and I will look about here." "But I have not been to the crew cabins," I replied with surprise. "No," she said, "but if it has been stolen, Who would want a valet's passport? Someone hoping to travel from this country to another, do you not agree? Very well. No, if that were true, who could I trust? Even the train guard himself might have taken it. As I was heading from the car, I thought of one more thing to ask and returned only to find Anne-Marie doubled up with laughter, having not moved from her spot. What is going on? She tried to look serious, but then she began to giggle, at first delicately, then more and more uproaringly. I rather feared I understood the source of her mirth. Holding out a hand, I demanded the return of my passport. By way of reply, she took my hand and got to her feet. "I'm afraid I am a dreadful kleptomaniac," she apologised with deep insincerity and dropped a curtsy, and an unparalleled liar to boot. Then she giggled again. "And the chair?" "My arrangement with the train guard," she said. "I agreed to stay in the chair and out of mischief so they didn't lock me up, but your pockets came so close." "My passport, please," I demanded with no small irritation. "I dropped it," she replied with an indifferent shrug. "Somewhere." "Tell me where," I insisted firmly. Then Anne-Marie sat down again, suddenly glum. "You've stopped being charming," she said morosely. "Here's your passport." She reached into a fold of her dress and pulled out my papers. She made as though to flick them out the window. I stood back, arms folded, determined not to perform for this creature. She sighed and glowered, then tossed the passport at my feet. "What sort of name is Passepartout anyway?" she demanded sulkily. I wiped my brow with relief. A long and most difficult delay had been avoided. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to quickly zoom on to Madras before I end this episode. I did not see the girl at all today. I think she was being kept within her quarters under some kind of observation suitable to her flagrant criminality. I occupied my time attending to my master's state and keeping him comfortable, and the vigour returned to his cheeks under my close attention. Approaching Madras. At Madras, they pushed the young girl from the train down a ramp and she waved up at me before turning to face the road ahead. Under the weight of our cases, I could not wave back, and then she was gone. "Who was that girl?" my master asked. "A dreadful liability," I replied. Monsieur Fogg seemed displeased by my answer. I suppose it was not very gallant. Still, I spoke nothing but the truth. Indeed. Okay, we can sell the engine oil here, but we are going to do that in the next episode. I am ending it here in the beautiful Indian city of Madras. Thanks guys for watching this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like it on YouTube because that helps me, and I'll be your friend if you do that. And next time on 80 Days, we will continue our journey around the world. Goodbye.